She doesn't need a chair, my mother said with that clipped sweetness that always meant someone was about to bleed politely. There wasn't enough, and she upset the golden grandchild. She can share your lap. The laughter around the table barely paused. Forks scraped plates, glasses clinked, someone passed another tray of lasagna. My nephew, the golden one, was getting seconds. My daughter stood beside me, eyes wide, fingers tightening around the hem of her dress. Cruelty doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it's well-dressed and smiling. Hi everyone, my name is Lyra Naves, I'm 30 years old, and I learned that love in my family always comes with a seat limit. When I was a child, Mom told me I should earn my place. When I became a single mother, she said I'd lost it. And tonight, when my daughter needed nothing more than a chair, she decided to prove that point again. It's fine, I said softly, though every word tasted like metal. I pulled my daughter close, feeling her little heartbeat flutter against my ribs. Family should know their boundaries, Mom added, sipping her wine. You can't spoil the peace for one child's tantrum. My daughter whispered, did I do something bad? No, I said. You didn't do anything wrong. But in that moment, I understood. They didn't just forget her seat. They wanted me to remember mine. I gathered our small pile of gift bags, perfume, a mug, a half-hearted card, and smiled the kind of smile that closes doors quietly. My brother laughed at something across the table. Dad was already checking his phone. Leaving so soon? Mom called after me. Yes, I said. Before someone else loses their seat. Outside, the night air smelled like wet pavement and cooked onions. My car keys jingled like a warning bell. We drove away in silence. My daughter stared out the window, the reflection of string lights trembling in her eyes. At 8:45 p.m., my phone buzzed. Dad, rent's due tomorrow. No thank you for coming. No drive safe. Just business as usual, love as transaction. I didn't reply. I didn't shout. I didn't beg for a seat at a table that was never mine. I just kept driving, past the diner where they used to take my brother, past the church where they once said family means forever, past every version of myself that believed them. They had taken away my daughter's chair. So I decided, next time, I wouldn't sit down. I'd build the table. If this ever happened to you, say same in the comments. The next morning, sunlight leaked through the blinds, painting gold stripes across my kitchen table, the only table where my daughter had never been told to move. She sat there in her pajamas, coloring quietly, her hair messy, a crown of sleep still resting on her head. Mom, she said, Grandma didn't like me yesterday, right? Her words cracked something gentle inside me. I knelt beside her, forcing a calm smile. Sometimes people forget how to be kind. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. She nodded slowly, but her crayons pressed hard on the page, red streaks cutting through her paper sky. I opened my phone. Dad's message still glared up at me, rent's due tomorrow. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I had the same conversation saved from every month before. The pattern was simple. They asked, I paid. They smiled when money came in, disappeared when I needed help. I used to call it duty. Now I saw it for what it was, quiet blackmail, wrapped in bloodline. I brewed coffee, watched it steam like something alive. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up the transfer history, 12 months of rent payments, neatly lined like proof of loyalty. My hands didn't tremble when I clicked cancel automatic transfer. Not this time. My phone buzzed again. Mom's name flashed. I didn't answer. I just stared at it until it went silent. They had always assumed I'd crawl back, because daughters like me don't fight, we flinch. But something changed last night. I looked at my daughter again. Her crayon sky was now covered in tiny yellow circles. What are those? I asked. Chairs, she said. For everyone. That single word, everyone, pulled a thread so deep it unraveled years of silence. I closed the laptop and whispered to myself, then let's build them. I took a notebook and began writing names, people I'd seen pushed aside like my girl, Mrs. Alvarez from 2 doors down, who lost her son and ate alone every Sunday, Jamal, the grocery clerk with kind eyes, little Nina, whose mother worked nights. The list grew. And for the first time, I wasn't angry, I was designing something. They said there wasn't enough room. I was about to prove them wrong. By evening, I turned the notebook into blueprints. Nothing fancy, just sketches of a long, uneven table, built from mismatched chairs I already had. My daughter watched me from the couch, her feet swinging, holding a hammer too big for her hands. "Are we really making a table?" she asked. "Yes," I said, smiling. "One that always has space for you." We spent the night gathering what we could. The folding chair from the closet, the stool missing one screw, the wobbly bench from the porch. Each piece had its own story, all unwanted once, all still standing. It felt symbolic, like we were building a home out of everything life tried to throw away. While she painted a wooden leg with sunshine yellow, I opened my phone again. 10 missed calls. Mom. Then Dad. Then Mom again. I played one voicemail. "Lyra." Mom's voice crackled, wrapped in false concern. "You embarrassed us yesterday. People noticed when you stormed out. We raised you better than this." There it was again, the same script, rehearsed since childhood. Her love always had conditions. Her guilt was always a performance. I deleted the message without finishing it. For years, I thought silence was surrender. Now I realized it was strategy. That night, as I tucked my daughter into bed, she whispered, "Mom, do you think Grandma will come to our table?" I hesitated. "Maybe one day," I said. "But not until she learns how to sit without standing on someone else's chair." She laughed softly, a sound I hadn't heard in days. When she fell asleep, I stayed up writing. Not an apology this time, but an email. I attached proof of every rent payment, every favor, every unpaid debt they disguised as love. My subject line was simple: no more seats left. Then I sent it. The cursor blinked on the screen, a small heartbeat of freedom. Outside, the city hummed its indifferent lullaby. Somewhere between the sound of passing cars and the creak of our old table, I felt something shift. For the first time in years, I wasn't the one waiting to be invited. I was the one preparing the guest list. The next morning, my phone vibrated before dawn. I already knew who it was. Dad's text, "You're being ungrateful. We depended on that money. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Ungrateful, the word they used whenever I remembered the truth. I read it once, twice, then turned the phone face down. The sunlight was cutting through the blinds like thin knives. I made pancakes for my daughter, humming quietly, pretending the world wasn't shaking. She giggled when the syrup overflowed her plate. The sound steadied me. After breakfast, I opened my laptop and posted a message on our local community board. "Hosting a Saturday dinner, for anyone who's ever been told there wasn't enough room for you. Bring nothing but yourself." Within an hour, replies started pouring in. Mrs. Alvarez wrote, "I'll bring my old teapot, it's been waiting for company." A single dad down the street, "Can I come with my twins?" A teenage girl, "My family eats without me. I'd love to join." I stared at the screen, my chest heavy and light all at once. Every message felt like a heartbeat finding rhythm again. That evening, I went to the thrift shop and bought second-hand plates, all different shapes and colors. One cracked at the edge, I chose it first. It reminded me of us. As I walked home, my phone rang again. Mom this time. I almost ignored it but pressed accept. "Lyra," she began sharply, "what are you doing with those posts online? People are calling me asking if you're hosting some kind of pity party." I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. "No, Mom. I'm hosting a table. Something you never made space for. You're making us look bad." I smiled softly, though she couldn't see it. "I stopped trying to make you look good a long time ago." She exhaled, slow and venomous. "Don't expect to come back here when things fall apart." "I won't," I said simply, then hung up. For years, I believed silence was survival. But now, my silence had become a wall, one she couldn't climb anymore. When I reached home, my daughter was at the window, painting another chair on her paper, this one red, bold, defiant. "Who's that for?" I asked. She grinned. "For you, Mom. You always stand." And for the first time, I sat beside her. Our table wasn't built yet. But our space, our peace, had already begun. Saturday came like a quiet sunrise, slow, cautious, and full of something that felt like hope disguised as nerves. I'd pushed our little table against the wall and replaced it with a longer one, 6 mismatched pieces of wood fastened together, legs uneven but sturdy. Around it stood every chair we'd rescued, folding, cracked, one even missing paint. It looked imperfect. It looked alive. By noon, the first knock came. Mrs. Alvarez stood at the door holding her teapot like a bouquet. Behind her, Jamal from the grocery store, 2 teenage girls in hammer-down jackets, and a man I recognized from the bus stop. "Are we early?" she asked. "No," I said, smiling. "You're right on time." My daughter darted between guests, proudly showing the paper sign she'd taped to the wall. The enough table, written in her messy, rainbow letters. The smell of baked bread filled the air, and soon, the small apartment pulsed with soft laughter. Stories overlapped, voices tangled, and for the first time, my home didn't feel small, it felt full. As I passed plates, my phone buzzed on the counter. I ignored it, but Jamal noticed the screen lighting up. "Your parents?" he asked gently. "Always," I said, half smiling. "They only call when silence scares them." He nodded. "Then don't answer. They're calling from the old world. You're building a new one." That line sank deep. Maybe too deep. Midway through dinner, my daughter climbed onto her own chair, and raised her glass of lemonade. "To everyone who never had a seat," she said shyly. Everyone clinked glasses. Even the walls seemed to lean in to listen. Later, when everyone left, Mrs. Alvarez hugged me. "You made something holy here, dear," she whispered. "Don't let anyone take it from you." After cleaning up, I checked my phone. 12 missed calls. 3 voicemails. 1 text from Dad. "You think this little stunt makes you strong? You'll regret it when no one helps you." I stared at it for a long time. Then typed back slowly. "I already helped myself." I hit send. That night, as my daughter slept curled against me, I realized revenge doesn't always need fireworks. Sometimes it's just peace, the kind your enemies have to watch from the outside. And deep down, I knew, they wouldn't stay silent for long. Sunday morning arrived with the sound of knocking, not the polite kind. The kind that demands to be heard. Through the peephole, my father's shape, heavy and familiar, his shoulders rigid beneath a windbreaker that didn't fit anymore. Mom stood beside him, face tight, lips pressed thin as receipts. I opened the door just wide enough. "Lyra," Dad said, voice low. "We need to talk." I leaned against the frame. "We always do. You just never listen." He exhaled sharply. "You humiliated your mother. That charity dinner, people are asking why you didn't invite your own family. You're making us look human." I interrupted softly. "Because that's all I did, Dad. I made space for people you'd rather ignore." Mom's eyes darted around the apartment, taking in the mismatched chairs, the dishes drying on the rack, the paper sign that still hung on the wall, the enough table. "What is this?" she asked. "Some rebellion?" "No," I said. "It's a home." Her lips trembled. "You think you're better than us now?" "No," I replied, voice calm but heavy. "I think I finally stopped believing I was worse." Dad's tone hardened. "You ungrateful child. After all we've done for you." I stepped back, opening the door fully. "Come in, then. Take a seat." He blinked, thrown off. I gestured toward the table. "Go on. Choose one." They looked at each other, then stepped inside. The chairs creaked under their weight. The silence that followed was the loudest sound I'd ever heard. I sat across from them. "You always said there wasn't enough. Not enough chairs. Not enough love. Not enough patience for my mistakes. But there's enough now. There always was, you just didn't want to share it." Mom's eyes watered. Dad's jaw tightened. "You can stay," I said quietly, "if you're ready to eat without taking someone else's plate." For a moment, no one moved. Then Mom whispered, "You're cruel." I smiled faintly. "No, Mom. I'm finally fair." I stood, walked to the door, and held it open again. "You can leave whenever you want. But the rent's due tomorrow, for your own life this time, not mine." They left in silence. When the door clicked shut, I leaned against it, trembling, not from fear, but release. My daughter peeked from the hallway, eyes wide. "Were you scared?" "A little," I said, kneeling. But courage isn't about not being scared, baby. It's about staying seated when someone tries to take your chair. Outside, the wind rustled through the old street trees, whispering like applause. This time, I didn't look back. For the next few days, silence stretched between us like an uncut thread. No calls. No texts. Just distance, the kind that feels heavier than noise. Then on Wednesday evening, a letter slipped under my door. No name, no signature. Just my father's handwriting, rigid, deliberate. We didn't know how to love you without control. Your mother is angry, but I think she's more lost than cruel. Maybe we both are. I won't ask for rent again. But, don't close the door forever. I read it twice. My chest tightened, not from pain, but something quieter, relief mixed with mourning. Because sometimes an apology isn't enough, but it's still something. That weekend, our little community dinner grew again. People brought new chairs. A teacher came with her students. A widower brought soup. My daughter laughed until her face glowed. And when everyone left, I noticed one empty chair at the head of the table, the one I hadn't assigned. I didn't move it. I just let it stay there, waiting. For forgiveness. For growth. For whoever might need it next. I poured myself a cup of tea, looked around at the mismatched beauty we'd built, and whispered to no one, "There's finally enough." Outside, the streetlights flickered like candles in agreement. The world felt smaller once. Now, it finally fit. A month later, an envelope arrived, no return address, but I recognized my mother's handwriting before I even opened it. Inside was a single photograph, me as a child, sitting on a picnic chair beside her. On the back, in faded ink, she'd written, "You always wanted your own seat. I hope you finally found it." No apology. No excuses. Just an acknowledgement, quiet, incomplete, but real. I placed the photo in a frame and set it on the enough table. That weekend, we held another dinner. Twice as many people came, strangers turned family, voices echoing laughter into every corner of the room. In the middle of it all, my daughter leaned close and whispered, "Grandma would like it here, don't you think?" I smiled softly. Maybe one day. When she learns that love isn't about who gets the biggest piece, it's about making sure no one leaves hungry. The candlelight flickered over the mismatched plates, the painted chairs, the faces of people who had been told no too many times. And in that warm, crowded room, I realized something simple: revenge wasn't payback. It was peace, rebuilt by hand. I raised my glass and whispered to myself, "Here's to enough." The flames danced like applause,